Ryan, science fiction film.
Yeah.
From Apple, an Apple original, with Mahershala Ali playing multiple roles. Swan Song. As one would guess, a Swan Song is a last act, a final performance. Hopefully not Mahershala Ali's final performance ever. That would be quite a loss. But it is his character's final performance in a way. Yeah, science fiction. We've got a trope of dead man walking, and trying to find a way to not be dead man walking anymore. And variations on that theme have been spun a lot, and the application's often different. Depp did, what was it, Transcendence?
Yeah.
We saw one early last year I made a note of, LX 2048, which neat concept, but we weren't real sold on the execution. But this one is a little bit different take on the whole kind of thing. Diagnosed with a terminal illness, this doctor comes to him and says, "Hey, I have a way for your family not to lose you, but you can't tell them you're dying."
Yeah.
And then we get into this weird, much more philosophical, maybe, take on this kind of story. Would you agree with that general assessment?
I think it's definitely a more emotional. It's not played for action or horror.
Right.
It's very much an emotional journey about essentially learning to let go. And so yeah, I mean, science fiction obviously involved, but it's all kind of a frame to just kind of paint. It's about letting go.
Well, yeah, and we get into the philosophical aspects of what makes you.
Yeah.
And this, you're right, it's not played for action. This isn't The Island. This might be like The Island alpha test, like where that technology comes from.
Sure,
except then it's perverted into The Island, where you're just spare parts.
And and they do, and ironically in the film they do talk about how this is very early on. I think he's the third
one that would be out in the world.
Yeah. So so he's still, there's still an experimental aspect to what's going on here, and as sure as the scientists seem to be, they're still kind of feeling their way through things as well.
Yeah. He meets, he goes, because it's not a spoiler if you watch the trailer. They don't say clone, they like molecularly grow.
Yeah.
And then they've developed the technology. And so, I mean, technically we probably have that technology now. The technology that's important here is where they transfer all of your memories.
Yeah, it's the transference of literally, your subconscious, your conscious,
and
all of that.
That's a big difference, because they make it a point to say, even the memories that you've buried are going to be, you don't get to pick and choose. It's just
it's whatever's there.
Right. And you don't lose yourself in that transfer. Right. So there's two of you to make sure that everything, they start doing, a file checksum, if you will, where they compare the two to make sure that the intact version goes out into the world to replace you. And yeah, so he would be the third replacement to go out in the world. He meets the second replacement, both the replacement and the individual who was replaced, played by Awkwafina, who has a daughter who does not know that her mother has been replaced.
Yeah. Well, and part of the thing is that the clone doesn't know.
Yes, and at the end, yes, after the whole process,
They know initially, but then they are able to go in and take back. It's not explained.
Right.
So anyone looking for, well, what's the science behind that? Well, there isn't.
Well, that would
But
be the fiction in the science fiction.
yes. So anyway, so so they do make it though, so that essentially the clone doesn't know it's a clone.
Right. So they
Or
just kind of
in
slide into
theory,
your
anyway.
existence.
Yeah. And that's why you can't tell anyone. You can't. There's lots of implications. It's just part of the process. Those are the rules, folks.
Yes, those are the rules, and we have to live by them and talk about them. Yeah, so it is very emotional because when we dig into the memories, and we get to those buried memories, I said that he's in the weird position is not only does he have to look at himself to who is going to go out and replace him. He's looking at himself from the inside because now he's seeing all of that stuff that is actually coming out and going into his new self, if you will, and who kind of addresses him with that and makes him confront it. So he's confronting himself, figuratively internally and literally externally, which was a nice set of bookends there for me. And then there's the whole the argument of, you're not me argument that you always seem to get in here, so it is, what makes you, what is the soul? Is there a soul? They never use that word, but no. That's one of the, that comes up in every movie or every one of these type of movies. And you're trying to figure out, what makes a human unique.
Yeah. There's no real, they don't really go with spiritual aspects in this.
No, they go with the emotional ones.
Yeah, it's very much more of a science.
Yeah.
And so they don't really dive into the question of soul or it's more finite, I guess. It's you're alive or you're dead.
Right.
And this is a way for you to continue living.
Yep. So he's, what makes it harder for him is he has a child, but his wife is also pregnant with their second child, and she is about to deliver. She's like a month or two away when he's trying to decide if he's going to go through this process. And then while he's going through the process, he is away from home while she is in the last, the home stretch of the pregnancy. And, there's issues there between them from certain things that happened before we come in. One of the things I wrote down was the power of science to perform these physical acts versus the price of science, which is the emotional toll. The Jurassic Park argument, your scientists were so so excited about whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think whether they should. And, while we're not, generating dinosaurs in this film, it's an 800-pound gorilla is this worth it? Because there is a price that you pay to stay. And it is, what would you do to spare your loved ones pain? That's what makes this movie better than some of the other ones of this type.
Sure. It's a question of they don't really dive into this very much, but you're selling a lie to your family.
To your family. But are you selling a lie?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Glenn Close plays the doctor. Yeah. That has this technology. She is very subdued. There's three people at this clinic. There's the IT guy. There's Glenn Close, who plays our doctor, and Adam Beach, who plays the psychiatrist or psychologist, who helps evaluate both the patient and the replacement to determine if things are right and if things are ready to move forward. So it's very interesting that they have, the medical, the emotional, and the technical. Then that's it. That's like the trinity of this whole process, of making it all work. And caught in the middle is Cameron, played by Mahershala Ali, who's caught between these three, and they're trying to balance all three to make them work to solve his problem. And he, they let him talk to Awkwafina, and get her take on it, as someone who is dying, because you have to remain at this facility now until you die, because you have to be terminal. And so he's with her, and he sees what's coming, and those are some really great scenes.
Well, it's good because Awkwafina is very subdued. This isn't her going for laughs. This is and again, she's a good actor when she when she's when she's
given material.
Well, when she's given the material and when she's directed, I think.
Yeah.
Although I don't know in this one if at any point, well, no, you can't go and do that. But
right.
but she there are times where I love her movies, and there are times where it's like tone it down a little bit. I guess I don't know, where she seems to take over scenes, and not necessarily in a good way. But I really, in general, I do like her.
Right. Well, let's talk about direction for a minute.
Sure.
Written and directed by Benjamin Cleary. This is his first feature director job, and his first feature script. So he's, I think he's landed on his feet. And maybe that he didn't overdirect. He did let his actors act. Because the driving force on this is, of course, if you don't believe Mahershala Ali is going through all of this on both sides of the coin,
twice,
then this film doesn't work. And so, a credit to him, maybe I don't think he directed as much, given that it was his script. Maybe he did know enough or had the good sense to let his actors give him and tweak as necessary, but not, because it doesn't look like he went in and say, I want this scene to play like A, B, C, D.
Well, no,
it looks very organic.
It's a very even film. It looks like everyone understood what the end goal was. They all bought into it, and all the moving parts came together. And I think it's just the word I would use is it's a very satisfying film, I think. Not necessarily that in the sense that it gives you a Hollywood happy ending or anything like that, but it goes in. I think I know what it wants to do, and I think it does what it wanted to do. So
yep, I completely agree. We'll talk about the not Hollywood ending in a second, but let's one quick aside that's slightly humorous. The dog always knows.
Oh yeah.
If we've learned anything from any film, it's always trust the dog, because the dog always knows when something is not right. And that's not a bad thing in this film, but I just thought it was kind of humorous that the dog, nobody else but the dog. But let's talk about the not Hollywood ending real quick to kind of wrap this up. There is a red herring put in this film very early, that I think in a typical Hollywood film might have changed the ending on this. And so I was kind of glad that we didn't get what Hollywood might normally have done with the end of this.
Sure.
But then I was pissed that they emphasized that red herring so early. and then it didn't seem to play a factor at all through the rest of the film. And I hope you know what I'm talking about.
I think so.
Yeah. So it's this is important, but it's not really important.
Yeah,
You know,
and I think I guess yeah, I mean, I guess, in movies we expect them to be a little more economical, I guess. What they show us, I guess the assumption is that it all has to play in.
right.
But I didn't really mind. I mean, it didn't feel, I mean, was it unnecessary? Yes, but it didn't, I don't know, it didn't strike me as it was just something that was put kind of in the back of your head, and then it just kind
And
of,
then it just went away. And like I said, I wasn't like angry about it, but I was
and I
just
don't
like,
think it doesn't feel like a plot hole to me.
no, it just feels like something they mentioned, like maybe it might have had a difference at some point,
Yeah.
but they went away from it, but that part got left in. So I don't know
Yeah.
if it was just like an abandoned thread, but it was there. So it was, I kind of thought, oh, that's the gun in the first act.
Sure.
And it's not. So, yeah, it threw me off a little bit because so we got to the end and I just kept waiting for it and waiting for it and waiting for it, and it wasn't. And I was like, and we know it wasn't at the end. So I was just like, okay, he steered me to the typical Hollywood end, and that's not where he went. So
And maybe that's why he did it.
And maybe that's why he did it, and that's acceptable. But it's like it's an excellent head fake if he did, because I mean, you see it, and in the back of your head, if you've seen any movies, you're like, oh, this is going to be important because there's only a couple ways it can be important. So, yeah, but it's just that literally that was the only thing that kind of annoyed me, was that was in there at all. You know what I mean? And that's the only reason, because it had no bearing anywhere through the rest of the film, and I was just like, well, that was kind of, I don't know, but no, the rest of the film is it's just really well put together. It is not action packed. There is a lot of
there's drama,
sitting and looking, and
there's, I mean, but yeah, it's a character piece. It's I mean, the drama is primarily internal.
yes,
it's kind of a reflective film. We we kind of re-experience, or well, the characters re-experience, but we kind of get a not necessarily a greatest hits of his relationship
just
with
key moments
with his wife, but yeah, we're just enough to get a sense of who they are and how they differ, and
why they are where they are at
Yeah.
this point. We get to that point, so yeah, no, I think he did a really good job with the script, and then he did a really good job letting his actors give him that script. And like I said, I don't know that he would have had to do a ton of direction, specific direction. I don't think he went in with a lot of notes after a take. But I think that's a testament to the cast, because the cast is really
sure,
kind of top notch, top to bottom.
But,
I mean,
well, that's half of directing is good casting sometimes. So
it certainly doesn't
more than half probably. Another, I mean, sometimes that is literally the key,
and sometimes that can't save a film.
Correct.
So
that is absolutely true.
That's a great cast, but it couldn't save the film. So,
and yes, we say that actually, but more often than I think we'd like to. So
yeah, sadly, but not in this case. Not in the case of Swan Song. It opens on Apple TV on the 17th, and let me double check. It will be in select theaters. Yeah, select theaters and Apple TV on the 17th. So if you have Apple TV, you can definitely check it out. Or if you want to go to a theater and you're lucky enough to have it in your area, it's worth it. This is a really great performance. It's a little late. I don't know how it's gonna. I don't know if it should be in the awards. Necessarily.
It's in kind of. It is in the conversation, but it's. If they did a top 20 ranking, it falls probably outside of the. The ones that are likely to get nominated. It's in the conversation, but
right.
It's I guess what do they call it? Also receiving votes.
Oh yeah,
or whatever in the college rankings where some people put it in there. So
yeah, but not enough points to make the list. So yeah,
exactly. So
yep.
No, but it's and that's fine, I guess. I mean, it's still strong performance. It doesn't take anything away from the film. Really.
Fact. Yeah. No. Don't let us make you now think that it's not worth watching, because it really is. Some excellent performances. Naomi Harris is his wife. Like I said, so you got Mahershala Ali, Naomi Harris, Glenn Close. I mean, it's a good cast. It's a good cast, and they're all really good in this. So. Definitely worth your time to check out. So we've got a ton of movies to talk about. We've got a few more to see before the end of this year, before Christmas, up to and including 2 franchise films in Spider-Man and The Matrix. So yeah, we are not done yet by any stretch of the imagination. So stay with us, and we will get those up to you as soon as we possibly can. Don't forget to like us, follow us on social media at VS Movie Podcast. You know the drill. And be good, stay safe, enjoy your holidays. And until we talk to you again, I am Mark. That is Ryan. Bye, Ryan.
See you guys.
And we will talk to everyone later.